Hello, welcome to your video this week. So I want to introduce an idea to you that is fundamental to everything that I've done, all the success that I've had, as well as the success that anyone has had, even if they don't know it. There are such things as people who are called unconscious competence. That means they don't even know why they're successful, but I'm going to show you why they're successful and how you can be successful too. And what I do to introduce this is call this the crazy cycle. And it starts with past results. So people have past results in a lot of different areas in life. Really quick example, when I was in grade 2, I was told that I was mentally retarded. My parents were told I was mentally retarded. And that had an effect on me. It has an effect on you when you've got past results and then somebody says something about those results. Now they can be you, they can be somebody else. It doesn't matter, well, it does matter who says it. If they have authority in your life, it's more important. But if you say it to yourself, it has a great impact on yourself, even greater than if the average person maybe said something to you about. So using this example, in grade 1 and 2, I hadn't had a lot of great test scores. I have a teacher that tells me I'm mentally retarded. And guess what? For the rest of grade school, I had test scores that backed up what she had basically said. I never had a grade above 55% in any one of my core subjects. I did really well in phys ed, but I never did any good at all in those 4 major subjects. And my parents tried everything. They tried blackmailing me. They tried a whole bunch of crazy ideas to try to help me get good grades, and yet nothing worked. Because what they were trying to do is they were trying to work on my habits, my actions, my behaviors. The problem was that they didn't understand what was actually making the difference, what was actually informing my habits, what was changing my habits. The fact is that your behaviors, your habits, your actions are a secondary thing. They are a symptom of something that's going on inside of you. What the primary thing is, what is the root cause of things, are your beliefs, your thoughts, your paradigms, and those are tied with emotions. Those are connected with emotions. So I'll go back to this example of me being mentally retarded. By the way, I've been cured from it later on in life. It depends who you ask, I guess. But what happened was I had a bunch of test results that showed what would have backed up basically what my teacher said, that I was slow on some level. And every single time I got another test, they reinforced these beliefs. So I had a belief that I was not good at school. That was my belief, okay? And the thoughts I had consistently were, yeah, I'm not going to be doing well at this test or whatever. Now, guess what the emotions attached to school were for me? Yeah, not happy, joy, right? I had emotions attached to school like sadness, frustration, boredom, anger. I had all these really strong emotions that were really destructive for having the kind of habits that would have given me good grades. So if I had these emotions attached to the belief around that school is not something that I'm good at, guess what happened? Well, every single day, do you think I was motivated to get to school? Do you think I was motivated to bring home homework? Do you think I was motivated? Why would I do all of these things if I'm not going to be good at it anyway? And if I don't enjoy it, if everything in me screams out to run away when I think about school? This makes sense, right? So what was actually underlying my actions were thoughts, beliefs, paradigms tied to emotions. I didn't do the homework. I didn't do the things I needed to do in school, and guess what I got? I got more of the same past results I'd had in before. So I had more of the same. Now, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is what? You guessed it. It's insane. It's the definition of insanity, right? So what you need to start changing is not change your habits. And we're going to talk about real estate now. I don't want you to focus on changing your habits or your actions. I want you to focus on your beliefs and the emotional attachment to those beliefs. So I'm going to give you some examples with real estate. What is your belief and what are your emotions when you think about a tenant, getting a new tenant into a place? What are your beliefs and your emotions tied to asking somebody else for money to purchase an investment with you? What are your beliefs attached to emotions that are focused on, I don't know, maybe going through a walkthrough with tenants, or signing a contract, handing in a contract, an offer to purchase a property, or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just talking about different aspects of real estate that I hear often from my clients that kind of trip them up. If your answer to those questions are that you are scared, or there's anger, or there's frustration, or there's fear, whatever it is, then guess what you're not going to do? You're not going to do any of those things. And guess what? If you don't do those things, you're not going to do what? Purchase a property. You're not going to what? Manage a property properly. And guess what you're going to get? More past results. So you hear people talk about how real estate is terrible. Real estate's fantastic. You talk to anyone who knows anything about real estate, who actually knows it, not has done it and did a terrible job of it, but actually understands it and has done well at it. They love it. It's a great investment in so many ways. Having said that, you are going to get the same results they get if you have the same beliefs that they have. So you need to work on your beliefs. Now, how can you do this? Well, maybe I'll give another example really quickly of emotions tied to beliefs about something. I want you to take a moment right now. And if you have to hit pause here, that's fine. I want you to take a moment and think about your goals with real estate. What kind of goals do you have with real estate? I want you to come up with something specific, okay? So pause the video here, take a couple of moments. If you need 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's fine. Just think through, what are the goals you have with real estate? Okay. Hopefully you've done a good job of just processing that a little bit. The better job you do of processing that, the more you will get out of this exercise, all right? What I want you to do is I want you to feel. What does it feel like when you think about your goal? What are the emotions that come up? Now, for most of my clients, not everyone, but most of my clients, when I say think about your goals, the emotion that comes up with is fear. Some people say frustration, sometimes people say fear, sometimes people say shame. What's happening is when they think about the future, so there's an idea here, and it's based on past results, maybe tied to money or money problems, maybe tied to, I don't know, making decisions or getting into investing of some other kind. You've had some kind of past results and you've attached emotions to that. Maybe you made poor decisions in the past. That's fine. That's in the past, okay? It doesn't have to affect you moving forward. Having said that, this is how our brains are programmed. We will think about and feel the emotions and the beliefs we have attached to those past results. So if you had that strong reaction, that kind of negative reaction, negative emotion attached to thinking about your goal, this is my guess. My guess is that you've tried setting up goals in the past, they haven't worked, and you've given up on them. Why? Because you're frustrated with yourself, most likely. You're angry with yourself, most likely. Listen, in order to change your life in so many ways, you're going to have big goals. You're going to have goals that excite you. So how do you do this? Well, you know what? I'm going to share that in probably another video. I just want to bring some of the basic concepts here and help you understand this a little bit better, but I'll give you a hint, okay? The hint is that you need to change your brain. You need to change your emotional attachment by using your imagination and by placing great emotions, the emotions that you want with those ideas, with those beliefs, okay? So I'll go to the next slide here, but just keep that in mind. And again, I'll fill that out in another video. So let's look at the brain for a few minutes. You've got balance. That back part of your brain is called your cerebellum, and it's in charge of balance. Then you've got your brain stem that is in charge of breathing and your heart rate. Now these aren't they're important parts of your brain, but they're not important for our discussion here today. What I want to focus on is your logical, your thinking, your conscious brain, which is called your cortex, and your subconscious or emotional brain, which is called your limbic system. Now, you can remember whatever names you want, okay? Attach the names that fit best for you. If you think about this with an conscious and subconscious mind, great. If you think about this with thinking and emotional brain, fine. It doesn't matter. Or cortex and limbic system, doesn't matter. What I want to show you here is that your subconscious emotional brain is actually the master decision maker in your brain. Okay? This part of your brain is the leader. It's the bully, and it's the one that puts your thinking brain, this nerdy brain, into a locker and shuts the door on you. Okay? In a decision, and think about this. As you've made decisions in the past, when was the last time you lost your temper or you were really emotionally overwhelmed? What did you start doing? You started doing erratic things. Why? Because this part of your brain wasn't thinking. It was this part of your brain that was leading the charge. And this part of your brain is focused on one, it's focused on more than one thing, but one basic thing, one major thing, and that is your safety. And if you feel emotionally overwhelmed, if you feel angry, sad, scared, stressed, whatever, you feel unsafe. And you will start to do erratic things, because this part is part of your brain. That's the way we've been set up for a very long time in order to protect ourselves. And it's protected humanity very well. Having said that, this is why when a dog feels unsafe, it bites you. This is why other animals, when they feel unsafe, especially mammals, do strange things. And if you've heard about this with animals all the time, where people will say, "Oh, it wasn't the animal's fault; it was my fault. I should have known better. I wasn't supposed to scare the animal." Okay? We think we're very logical thinking creatures. We are not logical creatures. Whenever you feel overwhelmed emotionally, what happens right here is that your subconscious mind, your emotional brain, restricts blood flow to your thinking brain. So when you're emotionally overwhelmed, you actually cannot think very well. And this is why this is such an important diagram. You need to understand that your emotions have a really significant role, the significant role in all the decisions you make. So if you aren't getting what you want in life, guess what? You've got to stop worrying about kind of the thinking process, and you've got to go to the subconscious, the emotional process. And once you understand that, once you get that, you're going to be off to the races, all right? So our thinking brain, like I said, is in charge of your logical type thoughts. Your emotional brain is what has kept you safe. It's what has kept people safe for a very, very long time. It's the part of your brain that reacts rather than engages, rather than responds, okay? So if you think about think about me. Maybe I'm running through the jungle, I don't know, 10,000 years ago, 20,000, 30,000 years ago, and as I'm running through the jungle, I can't come in face to face with like a saber-toothed tiger. I don't think they lived that long ago. Who knows, okay? Just for the sake of this illustration. I come in face to face with a saber-toothed tiger. The marks who didn't know what to do or started counting those tiger stripes or started measuring the teeth because they were curious, because they had all this cerebral activity, they were thinking people, those marks died. The marks that survived, my ancestors that survived, were the ones that reacted quickly and either ran away, found something to hurt the tiger, scare it off with, or maybe planted a spear into its gut or something, whatever. The people who reacted quickly were the ones who survived, all right? And that's how our emotional brain is. Now, our emotional brain is really important. I'm going to move my cursor here. It's important for learning. It's important for motivation. It's important for memory. It's important for our senses. It's important for our emotions and our decisions. Now, we've talked about emotions and decisions a little bit, and I've touched on motivation a little bit, but these probably four are extremely important. Our senses, they're all important. But our senses, our motivation, our decisions, and our emotions, they're all tied really closely together. So for example, if you feel emotionally overwhelmed, guess what? You're going to procrastinate. Guess what? You're going to stop. You will have one of two basic responses. You will either fight or run away. There's that third response of freezing, but that's kind of like running away in some ways too. It's not doing something, all right? So if you want, you can put it into three categories. But the basic decisions we make when we're emotionally overwhelmed is either we fight or we run away. And sometimes we freeze. Now, think about the motivation there. That's fear. That's feeling emotionally overwhelmed. What if you could get to a place where you were able to interact, and no matter what was coming your way, no matter what emotions came up, no matter what you were doing or situations that you were in, you were able to think clearly. And you were able to have the right response. So you're talking to somebody about potentially investing with you in real estate. And instead of being scared and doing crazy things, saying foolish things, all of a sudden you're able to clearly communicate. What would that do for you? What would it do for you if you are then listening and paying attention to the other person rather than just keeping yourself safe? What would it do for you? Forget about real estate. What would it do for you in your relationships if you were able to communicate with people clearly rather than losing your cool? Wouldn't that be amazing? That's possible. That's absolutely possible. Okay? But what I want to leave you with is this quote by Henry Ford, and then I'm going to give you some action steps for this week. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Now let's go back to that belief, that first diagram that I gave you. In that first diagram, I said that your belief and your emotions attached to those beliefs, but your beliefs are really what govern your actions. And I want you to think about this. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. For those people who think they can do something, they will find a way. They will keep working at it because they believe they can, if they want it. For people who don't believe they can, of course they're not going to achieve. Why? Because they don't believe they can. It would be crazy. Listen, it would be crazy if somebody told you that gravity was suspended for the day and everyone could jump off tall buildings. Would you be crazy to believe that? Well, maybe or maybe not. But would you be crazy to do it if you didn't believe it? Absolutely. If you believe that there's still gravity, there's no way that you would jump off a building unless you're attempting to hurt yourself, right? Because it doesn't make sense. It's crazy. We do things that we believe. We don't do things that we believe we cannot do. Pay attention to that. Okay, I'm going to leave you with these action steps. Number 1, I want you to start to pay attention to how you make decisions this week and when and where you feel overwhelmed. So you're paying attention to decisions and when and where you feel overwhelmed. So two points here. The first one is you will feel this physically. So pay attention to physically what's going on inside of you. This is a weird exercise for people who have never done it before. It's an odd exercise. Having said that, most North Americans are really disconnected with our emotions. We don't know what we're feeling. We can tell you what we're thinking, but often we have a hard time telling you what we're feeling. Men, women are similar in this way. Women are a little bit better than this than men, generally speaking, but both of us are pretty bad at it overall. I want you to start paying attention to how you feel physically when you feel emotionally overwhelmed, okay? Become more self-aware. As you do so, you will begin to feel more in control of your life and your own decisions, because then you can start noticing, hey, wait a second, I'm feeling this pit in my stomach, or this tightening in my throat, or my shoulders are tight, or whatever it is. And as you start to pay attention to those things, you will start realizing, oh, wait a second, I'm feeling emotionally overwhelmed right now. So what can I do about it? And you can take action rather than fighting or running away. It's a really important point. Number 2, next time you are making a decision specifically with real estate. Now, this might not only be in the next week. I hope it is. But regardless of when it is, over the next little while, the next time you make a decision specifically with real estate, pay attention to how you are feeling and the effect it has on your decision. Write down, I feel this way. Emotionally, what's going on for me? Okay, physically, yes, but also emotionally. And then what decision did you make? What was the major emotion? Is it fear, sadness, shame, joy, excitement, depression, anger? What is it? It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you start to become aware of it. Because as soon as you start to become aware of these things, you're able to actually start doing something about it. And again, we are going to get into that next time. Next time I'm going to be talking about decisions and how important they are to this entire process and how we can start taking control of the decisions that we make. Have a brilliant week.